Okay, welcome back, patrons. As you know, I had a hugely busy week. We built the teepee this week, and it was so much fun. So much content on the way. Okay, I'm making a sign for a friend. This is a gift to my friends at the school that I always work for. And the students got the idea to make this logo, and they wanted to make a sign, and they wanted it to light up, so I knew I needed to make a light box. So they designed it, and I made it. And I know some of the baseline stuff isn't perfect, but kids designing stuff, I gave my 2 cents, and it's not a big deal that the baseline isn't perfect. But I'm attaching acrylic here. I'm using crazy glue, and I knew this section right here was going to get painted. What I'm doing is I'm masking. This is a simple way to make a light up sign. I got translucent acrylic. It's very expensive acrylic. My friend makes doors, and these are all the cutoffs. He gives them to me. I end up with a lot of this 1/4 inch thick material. His doors are like 9 and 10 feet, and these is the cutoffs from 12 and 20-foot stock. These are all extruded plexiglass and lucite. I don't know exactly what this material is, but it's very expensive. It's kind of like Lexan. Anyway, he has these cutoffs. He doesn't know what to do with them. So what I did is I took the big printout of the concept of the logo. We get it printed at FedEx. These pages are just a few bucks a piece. And I'm slicing them, and I'm trying to be precise because each razor blade is going to leave an impression that is going to be noticeable. So you want to use those big swirly curves with your shoulders. You don't want to cut from your wrist. You want to use your whole upper torso to swing around when you cut those curves, if you're going to ever do these type of curves. If you don't, you're going to get a shaky line. You need to begin that cut, and you don't give up until you end. If you stop, you're going to get a little stutter mark. It's going to show. Every little decision shows when you're slicing with a razor blade. If you notice, all the X and Y cuts, all the cross cuts, everything I did, any flat cut I did with a ruler, all the curve cuts I did with a full body swing. And now this is just black plexi, black spray paint. I just want to mask the color that's going to be inside the light. So this is just a complete blackout. And then on top of that, I'll put a color. And in this case, the color happens to be silver. And so what I ended up doing was using the silver and the black kind of together a little bit to give a phony sheen. So I took advantage of the way the paint streaks, and I did it at an angle. That was specifically so it looked like it was getting hit with a little bit of a light at an angle. And it's predominantly translucent silver, but you could still see some streaks in it ultimately. And now I'm testing, I'm peeling it out, and I got some nice contrast. And I know no matter what light the kids put behind it, that's going to look great. And so now I need to make a box, and if they're going to use LEDs, I want to give it some depth. So this is all just stock from Home Depot. It's 6-inch deep stock. Maybe it's 4 inches. I think it's 4 inches. You guys could tell better than me. And now what I'm doing is I'm making a rabbit, and the rabbit's going to take a back piece and the front piece. Again, I was trying to take a very simple approach to this because this was a freebie, but they also told me don't make it complicated. We want to be able to get in it. And who knows, the styles might change. They might take the sign down in a year from now. And so this is just this finger jointed scrap wood pre-painted from Home Depot. And this stuff is really good. You're making a quick box. And this is when I first got in the shop, and I did not have a compressor yet. Everything was still in the city, so I was in between shops, literally in between. I made the beginning of this video down in the city, and they finished it up here. And just gluing this together, and I knew that this sign was going to be confined between two walls, and so I wasn't overly concerned that you were going to see that rabbit at the end. I just put some wood putty in it later on. I'm using these nails just to keep things together while I'm preparing to drill a set, a countersink, and screw it in. Now I'm just peeling all those letters off, and it looks nice. This silver paint picks up tons of handprints, so you'll notice at one point I begin to wear gloves every time I'm moving the sign around. This is just checking the light behind it. And this is a really simple way if you guys want to make a light up sign with a razor blade. No bandsaw was used in the process of making this. And I'm going to screw it to a brick wall at the school. I know that, so I want to make sure that this sign's got some beef behind it. So I'm putting a full 1/2 inch sheet of plywood inside of the box and the rabbit in the back. The front has to be removable, but you notice here I'm gluing the back in. Put some air nails in there. That's probably, I think I put screws in, I can't remember. I don't think so, I can't remember. Glues and screws right there is plenty. I'm just checking my hair and the camera. Still bald. And here we go. And that's a dangerous cut. Don't do that unless you have experience. You'll notice I cut the back first so that when I have the thing flat on the thing, the cut goes completely through. You don't want the plywood falling apart while you lift it. You do the front cut first, and then you lay it down, and then you finish the cut at the back of the fence. Gluing stuff in, you'll notice I pieced some wood together that was going to be on the back. It didn't necessarily have to be one full sheet because no one's ever going to see it. It doesn't matter. I did butt glue the joint wherever it came together. Countersinking, screwing. Brett edited this video, and he edits in my style, of course, so some of this is a little bit of Brett, some of it's a little bit of me as far as styling goes. He mimics what he thinks I would like, and he's pretty much right most of the time. And now this is just aluminum. You can just chop aluminum on a wood saw. It's nothing to panic about. You cannot cut steel on a wood saw. That'll be problematic. But aluminum is a different type of alloy. It's just like a hardwood, basically. Got to use oil because it's also kind of gummy. I don't know if that makes sense. And drilling all my holes. I did not want to do a 45-degree joint at the end because this is not such a precise sign, and those 45 degrees end up with a really sharp corner, and if these ribs are going to be removed and put back in, I don't want them to be sharp to cut anybody or to bend. If they drop them and they bend and they can't bend them back, they're going to crack off. So that's why I made them just flat intersecting joints. And this is a really crummy old table saw, which is a temporary table saw, and it has a hole in it. And so I just used that hole. I didn't really have a table. I just had horses and plywood at that point. I used that hole to use for my countersink. And I'm just using small, like number 6 screws, maybe 5/8 screws. And there we go. And I was really happy with this. This was a simple, I could have built this in one day, only because of logistics. It took a couple. And that joint is right there between the I and the O that I did in the beginning of the video. You can't even see it. And they wanted some connectivity between them. The kids came up with the idea to have each box kind of look like a conduit electrical box. And so I'm drilling between them. And everybody wants to know why I rock it, because the cutting edge is on the outside of that. And when you rock it, it tends to cut a little better. If I was able to kind of put my body weight right behind it, I would just push it straight in. And here we go. Now I have the whole sign face down, and I'm just spraying it. And just when shadows don't bend, and neither does spray shadows. If it was super, super, super important, I would probably mask the front, but nothing bled up and under. And Danny's just showing me what toggles he has, because I came across a different situation than I thought when I got there. But ultimately I ended up just using these screws. These are Tapcons. You drill into the brick, and then you go in with the Tapcons. It ended up being a little shorter than I wanted, but I also backed it up with a couple of really long 3-inch screws. I just used wood screws, drilled the hole, jammed it full of wood toothpicks, and then threw the 3-inch wood screw in. So I have a combination of Tapcons and wood screws. I probably don't show all those details in this video. And then the conduit between them. And by the time my personal job was done here, the video, I was waiting for the sign to come, images for the sign lit up, and it never came. I got these early images, and then school ended, and the kids never got a chance to finish lighting the sign. They wanted to create programming where the sign would undulate and light up and pulsate and stuff, and they were going to do that, but they didn't finish. So I'd have to wait till October to get the full effect of this money shot right here. So that was the end of my job, and then a couple of weeks later I got this picture and then this picture, and they never did finish it. Studio was not lit up yet. But thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me on Patreon, and I hope you enjoy these voiceovers. I'm going to keep doing them. Thank you.